Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines that we're tracking for you this evening. The Nifty turns positive for 2025 after gaining for the sixth session. The Sensex crosses 78,000, hitting the highest level in 2 months. Veteran investor Ramesh Thamani says the last 5 months were only a correction in an ongoing bull market. The rupee regains lost ground for the 7th straight session, hitting the highest level in 3 months. It's wiped out all the losses for the year with the biggest monthly gains in 6 months. Just over a week to go for US President Trump's proposed reciprocal tariffs on key trading partners. A senior US trade envoy will arrive in India tomorrow to hold talks. Wall Street Journal reports that sectors like pharma, auto and semiconductors could be spared, but top 15 nations with a trade deficit to the US could be hit with individualized tariffs. The Indian government proposes to end the 6% equalisation levy on online advertising in the finance bill. The move will benefit global tech giants like Google and Meta. The 6% levy has been in place since 2016. Growth will return to the consumer sector in Q2, says the top brass at Pidilite, as the company prepares for a change of guard. Outgoing MD Bharat Puri and his successor Sudhanshu Watts see a clear resurgence in rural demand. That's an exclusive. After PhonePe, fintech company Razorpay is all set to shift its domicile to India as it eyes a public listing. Co-founders Harshil Mathur and Shashank Kumar say the shift comes at a cost, but a small price to pay. That's another exclusive. Resist protectionism and defend globalization, says China to global CEOs at an annual summit. Beijing courts multinational corporations in a bid to attract more investments. Apple's Tim Cook, along with CEOs of Qualcomm, AstraZeneca, and dozens of other companies attend the summit. US and Russian officials hold talks in Saudi Arabia to try and arrive at a broad ceasefire in Ukraine. Washington is eyeing a maritime ceasefire in the Black Sea. Ukraine and US held delegation-level talks yesterday. Kyiv termed the discussions constructive and meaningful. The centre notifies a 24% salary hike for MPs with retrospective effect from the 1st of April 2023. The salary hike from 1 lakh to 1,24,000 per month for sitting MPs. Daily allowances hike from 2,000 to 2,500 rupees. Former MPs will draw a pension of 31,000 rupees instead of 25,000 earlier. Several surveys have pegged India Inc.'s average salary hike in the range of 9 to 9.5% this year. The Delhi High Court withdraws judicial work from Justice Yashwant Verma after a large stash of cash was allegedly discovered at his official residence after a fire. Justice Verma has denounced the allegations, has hinted at a conspiracy to malign him. Civic authorities in Mumbai demolish alleged illegal structures at the Unicontinental Hotel a day after stand-up comedian Kunal Kamra's video with a joke on Maharashtra's Deputy Chief Minister Eknath Shinde goes viral. The Mumbai police file FIRs against Kamra and 20 Shiv Sena workers who vandalized the venue where the program was shot. Well, let's start with the market action. The Sensex and the Nifty gained for the 6th day. This is the longest winning streak since September of last year. And with this, the Nifty has turned positive for 2025, wiping out the losses so far this year. The Sensex added 1,000 points today. 77,984 is where it closed. The Nifty up 300 points. The mid-cap index bounced there, 670-odd points. And it's a 1,000-point gain for the Nifty Bank as well, closing about 2% higher. Surabhi is standing by to wrap up the market action. Surabhi, back in positive for 2025.
Well, the bull charge continued on the street with another very, very green day, with India outperforming most global markets. It's now gotten a lot of fierce momentum on the upside, almost equal to the momentum on the downside. The market's recoiling like a spring, and there's a deep shade of green across the board. The good news of this pullback is that it's very, very widespread, it's very deep, and it's not limited to just a few set of stocks. And I'll illustrate that as we go forward. By the way, the Nifty has now recovered 7.7 to 8% from the lowest levels that were hit. The lowest point of this correction happened on the 4th of March. And from then onwards, it's a nice, decent 8% pullback on the Nifty and an over 11-12% pullback on the mid-cap index. So let's talk about the recovery today. Like I said, widespread. Almost all Nifty sectors were in positive territory. Financials and PSUs obviously have been leading this charge, and that continued today as well. But even otherwise, I mean, look at IT stocks, look at the PSU index or the CPSE index, look at oil and gas, realty, energy, everything was up and about. If I talk about Nifty gainers, then you'll see this this diverse flavor playing out in the gainers list as well. Kotak Mahindra Bank, SBI, Axis Bank from the financials, NTPC, Tech Mahindra, Power Grid, a lot of PSU and capex-related stocks, PSU stocks doing very well as well. HCL Tech had a good show for itself. Tech Mahindra was higher. BEL had a fair amount of green as well. The heavyweights have participated in a beautiful manner in the last couple of days, today included. L&T, HDFC Bank, ITC, Reliance gains between 1% to 2%, depending on which stock you are picking up. The only real noticeable losers, two consumer names stand out over here. Titan was down, Trent was down. These were losses between 1% and 2%. And IndusInd Bank saw some weakness once again. Also, what did Mahindra & Mahindra? It did end slightly negative, about 1% down. But there's news around the company. Our sister network, Awaaz, picking up a lot of buzz that perhaps M&M could be looking to buy out the promoter's stake in SML Isuzu, which is why that stock, SML, was up almost 5-6% today. Let's talk about the mid-cap market now. Like I said, big, broad move here. The advance decline ratio was positive, almost 2 stocks advancing for every 1 declining. The index was in step with the Nifty. Some examples of the gainers included IRDA, RailTel, Federal Bank. A lot of the auto ancillary companies did very well today. So names like JBM Auto, Varroc Engineering, Olectra Greentech, lots of buying in these names. PowerMech, which announced some auto wins, Alkylamines. It's a long list of winners out there. Very positive day once again. Now, we're, of course, going to look out for U.S. markets. The U.S. futures were decisively higher by the time that we closed out. And there is some hope that perhaps, the U.S. president will show maybe some quote-unquote flexibility on those reciprocal tariffs come the 2nd of April. And that's what markets will track, along with the fact that there has been a return of FPI buying in the market. And if that continues, it could, of course, give a further boost to the bulls.
All right, so Rupee, many thanks. Well, speaking of the bulls, veteran investor Ramesh Tamani says the last 5 months have only been a correction in an ongoing bull market in India. He remains upbeat on the market trajectory from here on. Take a look.
In my opinion, again, these opinions can be wrong, but in my opinion, we're in an ongoing bull market. Okay. What happened was the first correction in 4 or 5 years, it was particularly severe. And market correction is always severe. It always kind of panics you and tests your conviction, tests your patience, which is all the things that it did. But they are short, sharp, and swift. As you saw, the index fell very sharply and very swiftly, almost without respite, 800,000 points a day after that. But my feeling is that that is just a correction in a bull market, not the topping of a bull market.
Well, that's Ramesh Tamani. You can catch more of that conversation right here on CNBC-TV18. Let's talk about the rupee also erasing its losses for 2025, and that's thanks to the strong dollar selling by foreign portfolio investors and by exporters. The currency is now close to a 3-month high. It's gained 2.5% since hitting all-time lows in the month of February. Latha is here with more. Latha, so the rupee also rebounding like the stock markets.
Oh, it's been a blistering set of records for the rupee. It's the 7th straight day of rally. It has erased all the losses of 2025. It is at a 3-month high, and it is up over 2.5% from the low that the rupee touched on February 10th, when it cost 87 rupees 95 paise to buy a dollar. And today at 85.50, it's a long way that the rupee has appreciated. Actually, it's twinning very nicely with the equity markets. The Nifty also has erased all its gain, all its losses for 2025, and the rupee has done much the same. So that explains the reasons. The big reason for the rupee's fall was the inexorable buying of dollars by FPIs. They were selling shares, buying dollars and leaving the country. Now that's turned, and they have turned buyers of equities, which means they are selling dollars. And that's one big reason, of course, why the rupee is gaining in strength. The other reason is that a lot of people are caught long dollars. They are in the wrong side of the trade. A sizable chunk of that are exporters who have to book their profit by March 31st. And they were seeing visions of 87 and 87.5. Now you're barely getting 86 for the dollar. So people are selling out in a hurry. The arithmetic that people say for March 31st, it's called an LDFD. That is last day, first day. That's the day the trade expires, March 31st. If you have to make gains on your dollar positions, the dollar has to become expensive by at least 15 paise. And at the moment, that looks like a long shot. So there is quite a hurry to sell dollars. It's a very thin market, and there are hardly any buyers. RBI doesn't seem to be obliging.
All right, Latha, many thanks for joining us. Now, Assistant U.S. Trade Representative Brendan Lynch will visit India along with a team of U.S. government officials from the 25th to the 29th of March. This visit will be part of the ongoing bilateral trade discussions between both countries. This comes at a time when U.S. President Donald Trump is set to impose retaliatory tariffs on all countries from the 2nd of April. Now, speaking at the Oval Office last week, Trump hinted that he could take a flexible approach. He said, and I quote, "I don't change, but the word flexibility is an important word. Sometimes it is flexibility, so there'll be flexibility, but basically it's reciprocal," end of quote. Now, a report by the Wall Street Journal suggests that Trump may implement a tailored approach with these tariffs and will focus on a group of nations that have been referred as the Dirty 15, and this may include India and China. Sectors like pharma, auto and semiconductors could also be spared. The term coined by U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent pertains to roughly 15 nations that have trade imbalances with the U.S. India currently ranks 11th on the list. The report has also highlighted that other nations may be subject to softer duties and individual tariff rates set on a country-by-country basis. So that is something to be watchful of. Now, the government has proposed to end the 6% equalisation levy on online advertising in the finance bill. This move will benefit global tech giants like Google and Meta. Timsy is standing by with the details. Timsy, this has, of course, been a big bone of contention for a lot of the large tech companies, largely US-based tech companies. Take us through the proposed amendments.
Well, as you rightly said, Centre has moved amendments to the Finance Bill 2025, and as per the amendments, the proposal is to remove the 6% equalisation levy under the direct taxes, which were being charged on online services, primarily online advertising. Remember, this is popularly known as Google tax, which was introduced in 2016, and now, as per the proposals, it implies that the 6% levy which was being charged to the consumers of online advertising will now be removed completely if the proposal gets the Parliament approval. Reduction in this tax burden is actually going to benefit sales of advertising space, especially by online giants such as Google and Meta. And just to remind our viewers, again, this is equalisation levy which was introduced in 2016. And since then, US has been opposing this decision of India, seeking a reversal, a complete reversal of the levy. Experts claim that this move is part of India's piecemeal duty reduction commitment to the US post the recent bilateral talks. Now, what is to be seen is how do these global giants, especially Google and Meta, react to this move, and also what is the impact on India and US trade relationships. Back to you.
All right, many thanks, Timsy, for joining us. Outgoing Managing Director of Pidilite, Bharat Puri, believes growth will return to the consumer sector from Q2. Puri's tenure at the helm comes to an end this month, starting the 1st of April. Sudhanshu Vats will take over the reins at Pidilite. Both the outgoing and incoming MDs spoke with Mangalam on their outlook for the sector, along with some lessons in leadership. Take a look.
What we are beginning to see is a clear resurgence in the rural demand post the monsoon, a little bit. You know, albeit slow, but we are clearly seeing that pattern. As far as urban demand is concerned, I think in our sectors, Mangalam, and therefore now I'm talking about how we look at it, it has been when it comes to construction, when it comes to home improvement and so on and so forth, the demand has been quite steady. I'm saying the point is it could always be better, as Bharat was just saying. So I'm thinking the point is we would want it to be a bit more better, a little bit more buoyancy. But having said that, I think we've been seeing steady this thing, and that's why we've been delivering steady returns as well, steady numbers as well.
Core is clear that, listen, I mean, the biggest mistake any company can make is assume that the core is mature, and, you know, a lot of times fellows will say, okay, listen, oh, this is a mature category. Well, there are no mature categories, there are only tired managers.
And the focus, Mangalam, compared to many other companies, having had worked with many other very good organizations, I can tell you the focus is first and foremost on seeing what could we have done better. Because most of the time the tendency is, oh, this is not right, the market is sluggish, as you know, we were just talking about, or the consumer is not ready. But the first question you have to ask is that, what have we not done right? So I think that philosophy keeps making.
And you can catch that very interesting conversation with the outgoing and the incoming MD of Pidilite, Bharat Puri and Sudhanshu Vats at 5:30 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. on CNBC-TV18. The Competition Commission has investigated 35 cases of cartelization in the last 5 years. The competition watchdog said that out of these cases, 5 were related to the health and pharma sector, 4 were linked to the railways. The CCI has also investigated cases pertaining to cartelization in the financial sector, coal, power and civil aviation. So those are the probes underway by the competition watchdog. China's premier has told global CEOs to resist protectionism and defend globalization at an annual summit. This as Beijing courted multinational corporations in a bid to attract more investment. The summit was attended by Apple's Tim Cook, along with CEOs of Qualcomm, AstraZeneca, and dozens of other companies. The corporate leaders have said that they are bullish on China and are doubling down on their investments.
The size of the population, excellent infrastructures that are second to none, investment power, and a highly skilled workforce, great education, and great work ethics. So all of those are extremely positive elements that will continue to make China a growth engine to the world economy.
China is one of the most important innovation markets. Meanwhile, we see genuine innovations happening in China. And that's what we are doubling down on. We continue in our investment in China.
While global CEOs there in China. Time for us to head into a break, but up next, civic authorities in Mumbai demolish alleged illegal structures at the Unicontinental Hotel. That's a day after stand-up comedian Kunal Kamra's video went viral. That and more when we return. The centre has notified a fatter paycheck for MPs with retrospective effect from the 1st of April 2023. Now, salaries for sitting MPs have been hiked by 24% from 1 lakh rupees to 1,24,000 rupees a month. The daily allowance has been hiked from 2,000 rupees to 2,500 rupees. Former MPs will draw a pension of 31,000 rupees instead of 25,000 rupees earlier. Now, several surveys have pegged India Inc.'s average salary hike in the range of 9 to 9.5% this year, so substantially higher there for our parliamentarians. The Delhi High Court has withdrawn judicial work from Justice Yashwant Verma after a large stash of cash was allegedly discovered at his official residence after a fire. Justice Verma has strongly denounced the allegations, has hinted at a conspiracy. A 3-member committee has also been constituted by the Chief Justice to probe the matter. Ashmit is standing by now with more. Ashmit, several unanswered questions still remain, especially on the initial statement released by the Delhi police. Ashmit, I was just asking you, there are several unanswered questions that remain, especially with regards to the statements made by the police.
Indeed, a number of questions still remain, Chief, amongst them being that who shot the video, where was this video shot, what was the location of this video that has been shot, that has been circulated. We were aware the Supreme Court, the Commissioner of Police shared this information, shared the video, but these details are not known as to who, when and where was this video shot. Also, another key question, what is the quantum of the money? Ever since the story got reported, we've been hearing figures ranging all the way from 1 crore to 50 crores. There has been no estimate. There was no effort made by the Delhi police to account for how much actual cash was lying there. The police said 4 to 5 gunny bags worth of Indian currency. No estimate given by the Delhi police. Number 3, where did the cash go? The police confirmed that on March 14th, the night, the cash was there in 4 to 5 gunny bags. However, the police then also reports that on the morning of March 15th, cash had been removed along with other debris. Who took this cash? Where has it gone? Since then, since the morning of March 15th, no one has seen the half-burnt cash. So where exactly did it go? The Delhi police will have to give some answers. Also, questions with respect to who exactly can access the storeroom. There are different versions coming in from Justice Verma, from the Delhi High Court Chief Justice, as well as from the police. Who exactly can access these rooms? These are multiple questions that await clarity as to how this entire how this entire incident went about. And it is in pursuit of that the CJI has constituted a 3-judge bench to investigate this matter. That 3-judge committee will then be submitting its report to the Chief Justice, who then will take a call on whether or not to remove him or whether to impeach him. That's a decision that the CJI will take. And in the interim, the Delhi High Court has withdrawn all judicial work, has stripped him of all judicial duties. Meanwhile, there are statements coming out of the Allahabad Bar Association. They've already said we're not a trash bin. They're now saying that there should be an FIR lodged against Justice Yashwant Verma.
All right, Ashmit, many thanks for joining us. Now, the Mumbai civic body has demolished alleged illegal structures at the Unicontinental Hotel. This a day after stand-up comedian Kunal Kamra's video, which was supposedly aimed at Deputy Chief Minister Eknath Shinde. Mumbai police also filed FIRs against Kamra and 20 Shiv Sena workers who vandalized the venue where the program was shot. Santhya joins us now with the latest. Santhya.
A comedy show, a viral video and a political storm. Kunal Kamra's latest video has sparked an outrage in Maharashtra. On Sunday, Kunal Kamra's recent act went viral. In one of the clips, he joked about Maharashtra's Deputy Chief Minister Eknath Shinde, his rebellion and the split in Shiv Sena. Shiv Sena leaders and Shiv Sena workers took offense to this particular video. The video was also tweeted by Uddhav Thackeray faction's Sanjay Raut. Later, a video surfaced where a group of people who claimed to be from Shiv Sena were seen ransacking and vandalizing the habitat, the venue where reportedly the act took place. By Monday morning, Mumbai police detained over 10 people and an FIR was filed against 20 people, including Shiv Sena's Rahul Kanal, for trespassing, rioting and assault. Later, Mumbai police booked Kunal Kamra and accused him of making derogatory statements against Maharashtra's Deputy Chief Minister Eknath Shinde. In the meantime, the Habitat team, the place where the act reportedly took place, issued a statement that they are shutting down till the time they figure out a way to operate without putting their people and their property in jeopardy.
Santya, many thanks for joining us. In international news, at least 21 Palestinians have been killed after Israeli forces continue to bomb Gaza. The renewed assault has come hours after forces bombed the Nasser hospital in the enclave, killing at least 2 people. This included a Hamas leader. US and Russian officials held talks in Saudi Arabia to try and arrive at a broad ceasefire in Ukraine. Washington is eyeing a maritime ceasefire in the Black Sea. Ukraine and the US also held delegation-level talks yesterday. Kyiv has termed the discussions as constructive and meaningful. Protests across Turkey continue to intensify this after the main rival to the country's President Erdogan was formally arrested and charged with corruption. Tens of thousands of protesters taking to the streets for the 5th day. They were seen waving Turkish flags and chanting in front of police. Officers also fired water cannons at some protesters and used pepper spray. Canada's newly appointed Prime Minister Mark Carney has called for snap elections in the country on the 28th of April. Carney will now face Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre. Carney said he needed a clear, positive mandate to deal with Trump's tariffs and his threats to Canada's sovereignty. Pope Francis has returned to the Vatican after surviving a 5-week battle in hospital against double pneumonia. The 88-year-old Pope has also made his first public appearance since February the 14th before being discharged from Rome's Gemelli Hospital. Doctors have said the pontiff will need a further 2 months of rest at the Vatican. And with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Business 360. The news will continue right here on CNBC-TV18. Do stay tuned. We're back in a moment with more.